showing the negative aspect of Ghana for people out there. You might be scaring the diasporas or maybe the African American that wants to move to Ghana.
No, absolutely not, because if that's the case, they should be scared in America. It's gun violence, it's people dying, black people are murdered every day in the streets. I mean, what could be more scarier than that? So I don't feel like that. I feel like they're understanding that things like that goes on everywhere. And, you know, it's just that when you're a brown-skinned person, you have safety here. Even though crazy things happen, but you're, for the most part, in Ghana specifically, you have safety here. This is like your safety net.
Tell us more about you, who you are. Everybody has to know you.
Well, my name is Melody. I have a channel called Juss Vlog, so stop on over and subscribe if you get the chance. It's JUSSVLOG, and I'm originally from America, New York to be specific, and I moved to Ghana almost a year ago. So I initially came here just really like on a spiritual journey, just trying to, you know, find myself and embrace my culture and just learn more about where I came from. And it turned into visiting, to coming back the second time just to kind of feel things out, because I got the feeling like, you know what, I might want to move. So I came back to visit, and then the third time I relocated. So April will be a year that I've lived in Ghana.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what made you think you should come to Ghana?
It's kind of something that I always had in my mind, like in the back of my mind. Like I always just felt, even since I was younger, that, you know what, one day I want to go to Africa. And it started because, you know, in the States, they give us this perception of what Africa is. So they had these commercials where you would see the babies with the big stomachs and the flies all around them. And I think we all know the same story. If you're from America, you know this story. And you know, the child is living in poverty, surrounded by woods and dirt. And so it puts off this negative persona about Africa, that it's impoverished, it's nowhere that you want to be, the kids is malnourished, they starving, it's no food. But I kind of questioned that, because I was always a child that questioned everything. So I really did question, like, you know, I wonder if that's the truth, you know? I wonder, like, what's really going on there. And so it was always just something I wanted to do.
So how long have you been in Ghana? How long?
A year.
A year now.
In April.
So how do you see Ghana? Is it a good place?
I love Ghana. I love Ghana. Ghana is a beautiful place. It's safe. The peace that you get when you're here is unexplainable. I feel very spiritually connected and grounded being here. And I feel like I'm just, you know, like the universe is just protecting me. Like it's just my safe haven. So no matter where I go in the world, like, you know, Ghana's it for me.
Was it difficult for you coming from the States to Ghana?
No, it wasn't difficult at all. I feel like it was some adjustments that I had to make, as far as, like, you know, wanting certain foods, desiring certain drinks like Starbucks, because I love Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts. So missing out on like those little things was kind of a challenge here and there, but for the most part, no.
As you were talking, you made mention of a spirit telling you should come to Ghana. Is what kind of spirit talks to you?
It was more like a spiritual move, more like a spiritual calling on your life. So, you know, the supreme spirit is always constantly moving and flowing. It's energy. It's, you know, it's in the midst of everything. So, you know, internally within myself, I just felt this is something I needed to do.
So was it a call?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, as the spirit called you to come to Ghana, what impact have you brought so far to Ghana?
Well, when I initially came to Ghana, I didn't have a clue as to what I was going to be doing here. And to be quite honest, I was petrified, because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a completely different place, a country that I've never been, uncharted territory. How am I going to work? How am I going to make money? Like all of these, you know, thoughts went through my mind. And then I would say 2 weeks before me relocating to Ghana, I met Boogie, my husband. And then from there, it just made things a little bit more easier. It made the process a little bit more easier. And so all of the doubt that I had when I arrived in Ghana just went out the window. And I ended up eventually starting my YouTube channel. So that has been like my passion and the source of my inspiration and what keeps me going while I've been here in Ghana.
So you being a YouTuber so far, as I am also a YouTuber promoting Africa, what kind of content do you create on your channel?
So my channel is more based on the good, the bad, and the ugly of life on a continent, period. I've lately been doing videos centered around Ghana because that's where I am. I haven't traveled outside of Ghana yet, but that is going to be changing soon. So it's just basically showcasing every part of Africa. I mean, in every part of Ghana in this moment, because I feel like a lot of people relocate to Ghana specifically. They come, they stay, and they go back to the States shortly after. So you have to ask that question, why? Why are people coming and staying a year, 2 years, and then they're going back to the States? And it's because when they come, they don't have certain knowledge of certain things that go on. Like the expectations that they have sometimes are beyond what Ghana has to offer. And so I feel like giving them a broad range from different angles allows them to see Africa as a whole. So when they come, they're not blindsided. Oh, I didn't know that people was like this. I didn't know that the response would be like that, So they get to see every aspect of Ghana and not just, view Ghana from a one lens, but they have a variety of lenses. So they get an overall idea of what it's like to be on a continent.
But don't you think showing the negative aspect of Ghana for people out there, you might be scaring the diasporas or maybe the African American that wants to move to Ghana?
No, absolutely not. Because if that's the case, they should be scared in America. It's gun violence, it's people dying, Black people are murdered every day in the streets. I mean, what could be more scarier than that? So I don't feel like that. I feel like they're understanding that things like that goes on everywhere. And, it's just that when you're a brown-skinned person, you have safety here. Even though crazy things happen, but for the most part, in Ghana specifically, you have safety here. This is like your safety net.
Wow. So this question is just a personal question for me, and I have to ask because I know of these diasporas that normally comes to Ghana and they have these issues with the people living in Ghana, a typical Ghanaian, and also people out there. Dating a Ghanaian man, how does it feel like?
Well, I'm gonna try to be polite when I answer this question.
No, I just want you to say your mind, okay? Say your mind.
I feel like a lot of African American men in the diaspora and the States specifically are damaged, as we all are, from our history, things that we've gone through as a culture of people. And I feel like they're not willing to do the necessary work to change themselves for the better. So for that reason, it's damaging to the family system, the family structure, and to the African American women. Because when you're damaged as a man, how can you be the strength that a woman needs? And so a lot of African American men are just not willing to repair, the trials that they've gone through. And I feel like here in Ghana, the men are so much more, open. They're, for the most part, healed. They're strong. They know what they want. They know what they have to offer. If they don't have it to offer, they know how to voice that. So it's very different in the way Ghanaian men interact, period, in a relationship, as opposed to African American men in the States.
Wow. So dating your what do you call it, your Ghana man now, so far, how long have you guys been dating?
Well, our anniversary is coming up soon, so I don't want to say it on camera because it's gonna be
okay, so you guys are getting married?
Well, soon.
No, you have to be specific. I just want to say.
Soon, certain things we have happening on the channel.
No, but you also have to say it. You are getting married or what?
We are, yes, we're definitely getting married. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
A YouTuber. So what does your man do?
Oh, he's a singer. He's a performer. Very talented at that.
Wow. And you love him?
Absolutely.
So dating, I just want to know, because I'm emphasizing on it. I just want to know. This African American, they have this kind of perception that Ghanaians or maybe Africans are like a parasiting on them and so forth. So as you were also dating your husband to be, did you have that kind of mindset?
Feeling as if he was a parasite?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely not. No, he's been such a huge addition to me. you know, and to the completion of my healing, because prior to coming to Ghana, I did a lot of healing, a lot of prayer, a lot of fasting, a lot of, you know, spending time single by myself, you know, a lot of time in solitude. And so when I met him, it really just was a spiritual connection, something that, you know, the universe just brought together. And so he's complimented me amazingly, and I feel like I've done the exact same thing in his life.
So as you being a blogger, blogging about Africa, showing Africa out there for people to see, at least as you are on field shooting a video or maybe a picture, you might have this kind of a Ghanaian man or a woman or a lady or a child misbehaving towards you. Have you ever had that kind of experience before?
I did actually, and it wasn't even a whole film. We happened to be getting our car fixed, and we were across the street eating, having lunch, and the fishermen were bringing in the net. And so, you know, my husband was like, you know, it'd be great to like capture that, you know, for a YouTube short. So I was like, I kind of was like, you know, they might feel some type of way, but I was like, okay, you know what? I did it anyway. And when I went to go film, like just a little, like 3, 4, 5 second shot, they was going off. Like they was getting upset, telling me not to film them. And so he had to intervene. Like, what do you know? Like, what's your problem? This is a free country. Just like you don't want me to film you, this is not even your land. Like, you know, you're on somebody else's property, just like so I have the right to film wherever I want to film. So that's probably like the only incident that I really had.
So what was your most difficult video that you shot in Ghana that you had this kind of difficulty shooting it?
When I did my snake video, because I'm terrified of snakes. So it wasn't difficulty with people, but it was difficulty with the animal. So I can't say that I've had like a difficult video shooting anybody. I haven't experienced that yet.
Wow.
So it's been all positive for the most part. It's been a blessing.
So as you are in Ghana now, at least you have this negative stuff about Ghana, and you have this positive attitudes of Ghana too. Mm-hmm. Have you ever learned those negative attitudes of Ghana and also the positive attitude of Ghana?
Have I learned?
Yes, you learning it.
So you're asking, have I taken on the negative attitude? I would say no, because I don't attract the negative thing. Like if it's negative, I'd rather have nothing to do with it. And I don't even want negativity in my space to even have the ability to taint, you know, my spirit. So I try to, you know, people are going to be who they are. You can't control people, you can only control yourself. So my goal is to always, you know, display that positive energy. And when you put positive energy out, it comes back to you. So that's what I center myself around: positivity. Negativity, I don't have time.
How do you feel when you are in a public car or maybe a trosky? How do you feel in a car? You being in Ghana, how do you feel? Maybe you might be feeling this uncomfortable moment or anything of that. How do you feel?
Well, it's hot. So let me say that. So when you're in the taxis in Ghana, there's no AC, and then you know the taxi might fill the car to the max. So it's like you in the back with like 4 other people pressed against you, and it's hot. And so that's like a big challenge for me, just being stuffed in a taxi with no AC and it's hot.
So have you been bullied by a driver before? Maybe you overcharged or anything of that?
Yeah, I've had experiences with drivers trying to get over. Yeah, absolutely.
So how did you react to that?
Well, I kind of went off. I was upset, you know, and you know, Boogie even had to intervene because he even understood what was going on and how the driver was trying to get over. And he actually had to, you know, because I was actually going to the location where he was. And so I had this, you know, exchange of words with this driver as I was going to where he was at. And so when I arrived, you know, he's like, what's going on? And I had to explain, like, you know, this driver's trying to charge me a crazy amount when, you know, I'm only going around the corner. And it was something like I think it was like 15 CDs, and it should have only been about like maybe 9 CDs for the ride. So in that situation, he had to intervene because I'm still working on saving my temper. So,
you know, most people in Ghana sometimes normally says the diasporas that have been coming to Ghana normally, sorry to say, misbehave towards the Ghanaians.
Really?
Like, what do you say about that?
I feel like it's probably true. for some, but I also feel that a lot of Ghanaians misbehave towards people who are coming from the diaspora also. So it's this unsettling transaction that's happening between both Ghanaians and people from the diaspora that needs to be resolved. I mean, overall, we have to treat each other better, you know, and I feel like that's all a part of our healing, all a part of us moving forward for a greater Africa as a whole, because if we can't get along amongst ourselves and we're bickering and fighting about the littlest things, then we're never going to get anywhere, and we're always going to remain oppressed. So in order to have, you know, a greater cause, you have to sometimes just, you know, let it be.
Definitely, you being an African American living in Ghana for almost about a year now, you might have bought a land, or you might be able to buy a land. As you were buying your land, what process did you pass through buying those kind of land?
So when it comes to land, I'm trying to think of how to answer this question. Let me see. So I will say, just broadly, when it comes to any transaction with land, you want to make sure that you're taking the necessary steps to protect yourself. So, you know, first and foremost, you always want to make sure that you get a lawyer involved. You also want to make sure that you do your diligent search to go to the Lands Commission and check to make sure that the land you are purchasing is in fact from the person who's selling it. And, you know, and lastly, all I can say is just make sure you keep your lawyer involved every step of the way. Make sure that, you know, if you have a person here that you can trust, you know, and rely on to kind of do the ins and outs for you, because you might not be here in Ghana, that's the best route to take. And other than that, you know, that's really the only advice I can.
But have you been scammed before?
No.
Being in Ghana?
No. I haven't had that experience, no. I don't want that experience.
So, you being a diaspora, what are the agendas that you've put in place to change those kind of mindset that these Europeans have about Africa? That Africa are really poor, Africa is this, Africa is that, Africa is full of diseases and so forth. What are the impacts that you diasporas are bringing in to Africa?
You mean diasporans as a whole?
Yes.
I feel like just coming here is enough, because guess what? I just came and I'm able to go back and say that's not true. You know, these, you know, beautiful women who are sitting here. Yeah. One of them just moved to Ghana. I was having a conversation with the other two are just visiting. So they're going to go back to the States and be able to tell other people back home that's not true. So it's going to take more and more diasporans to come here and see the beauty of Africa, to go back and report back to say Africa's beautiful.
Do you really think there is a need for us, the Africans and also the African American, to unite together to fight back the whites that took everything away from us?
I wouldn't say fight back, because I feel like at this point they just need to be left where they are, wherever that may be. And I feel like, you know, if you're in the diaspora, just come home. Bring your resources, bring your finances, and just return to the continent and mind your very own business and begin to help build up the continent. So I wouldn't say we need retaliation against, you know, Caucasian, Europeans. I'm not for all of that. I'm just for just peacefully go about your business and, you know, and start what you need to start so that our country can be ahead.
Okay. My final question, you know, do you intend to go back to the States?
Oh yes, I'll be going back very soon.
Wow. Yeah. And why do you want to go?
I'll be going to get my children and bring them here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your final thing, maybe your fans are listening to you. What do you have to tell your fans?
I absolutely love them. Absolutely love them. They know how we do on Just Blog. Just Blog is full of fun, crazy excitement, and it's always something new and invigorating. I'm always trying to do new things and just, you know, keep the channel informative and just allow people to see the good, the bad, and the ugly of life here on the continent. So,
do you have something to tell your husband, Boogie Wednesday, as you said?
Oh yes, my baby knows I love him dearly. Okay, I love him.
Wow. Yeah. Boogie, we love you.